civil rights advocate who spent 13 years in the foster care system, and he's the founder of People's Association of Justice Advocates. Please welcome Shane Harris.
Thank you, Senator Grove. And, I also happen to be a Baptist preacher. So if you all feel a little something in your spirit, don't feel free to speak out. I want to thank Senator Grove and Senator Rubio, as well as Tyson McCoy, who reached out to me recently in the past few months. First and foremost, I want to thank you, Senator Grove, for your heart, your courage, and your leadership to bring these measures forth. And this year's bill's co-authors, Senator Rubio and Senator Caballero, also standing up with courage. I'm proud to stand here as a former foster youth of 13 years here in California after the losses of both of my parents at 8 years old. I'm the president of a national civil rights organization called the People's Association of Justice Advocates, which is a national civil rights organization and policy think tank. And I'm a former friend of someone who died as a human trafficking victim and who attended San Pasqual Academy with me, which is the nation's first residential education facility for foster youth, based out of San Diego County. We commonly identify girls and women as victims of trafficking. However, boys are regularly targeted as well. And there's no secret that our children in particular are at the brunt and the most vulnerable to be targeted. The FBI has ranked San Diego as one of the 13 worst regions in the United States, with up to 8,000 victims per year. In a recent sex trafficking bust or human trafficking operation led by San Diego County District Attorney Summer Stephan and the FBI, a 15-year-old was found within that sting operation. Per FBI statistics, and this is why I'm really here, 60% of trafficking victims are or have been in the foster care system. So how can it not be our state's responsibility, our state leaders' responsibility, to say that we're not going to let the most vulnerable, our children, be taken advantage of, but especially the children that we have oversight over. When I was in the foster care system and I emancipated at 18, and they dropped me off in downtown San Diego with my bag of clothes and an emancipation letter, it said that I was a ward of the state. I was a ward of the state for 13 years. So, what does that mean? A child of the state. Children in our state are being trafficked as we speak. And it is our state's responsibility and our state leaders' responsibility to get SB 14 across the finish line. SB 1414 across the finish line. We got SB 14 across the finish line last year. In closing, I'll say this. Last year, there should not have even been a question about SB 14 and the significance and the importance of that piece of legislation, which went after those who sell our children and our most vulnerable. This year, because I know and got on board in the last swing of things and called the governor and called our Democratic leaders and called others and said, we've got to call Senator Grove and we've got to turn this around. I'm on board this year to make a very clear statement that civil rights, as the only civil rights organization to support this piece of legislation, I am calling on other civil rights organizations to join this movement. Period. It is a shame that I am the only civil rights activist and leader in the state of California to make a stance on this. It is a shame that many of my colleagues have argued that this kind of legislation rolls the clock back on criminal justice reform. Well, whoever is out there saying that this rolls the clock back on criminal justice reform, I want you to know that you cannot tell time. Because it's time to hold the perpetrators who take advantage of our children accountable. Because it's time to send a thorough message that if you seek to buy a child for sex, that you will pay the highest criminal penalties in this state. Because it's time to send a thorough message that if you seek to take advantage of our most vulnerable, especially our foster children, you will pay the price. It's time to send SB 1414 to the governor's desk and send a thorough message that our most vulnerable children ought to be protected by the state of California. Thank you.